Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Odyssey podcast, where me and my brother trek through cinema on a quest to find the best film ever made. And this week, we talk about...
Paprika. Wait, my bad.
We are talking about The Silence of the Lambs. Your thoughts, Randy? First time you've seen it in full, right?
Yeah, well, it's basically like the first time I've seen anything other than clips.
This movie's pretty famous for clips, right? Just the "Hello, Clarice," and Dr. Lecter. Like, the movie's pretty... Is this one of those movies you can...
I'd fuck me.
Oh, I'd fuck me.
I'd fuck me.
I'd fuck me so hard. That's this movie, right? Like, you can kind of jerry-rig the movie together just through, like, pop culture osmosis.
Yeah.
So, your thoughts seeing it for the first time? Good, bad? Is it actually a horror film?
I think it's really good, and it's... I'm not sure if I would qualify it really as, like, a horror movie. More as, like, psychological thriller, like...
There's some spooky...
crime thriller. But
there's
not anything really that spooky about it, except for, like, at the very end of the movie. But honestly, it's a little cheesy and unrealistic near the end.
it gets a little
we'll get into that.
Weird. Yeah. But yeah, so we get to talk about Silence of the Lamb, the movie that won Anthony Hopkins an Oscar. This is, I think, the only film considered a quote-unquote horror film to ever win Best Picture. Also, I had some trouble kind of doing the psychoanalyzing of the fucking film.
¿Por qué?
Well, because usually the films we're watching, it's like, oh, this movie's a commentary on, like, the Hollywood culture. This movie's a commentary on, like, violence in movies, blah, 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 blah. This one, I was coming to it, like, it's a critique of, like, sexuality and, like, gender politics going in. Because, most of it just because of how, Clarice Starling, played by Jodie Foster, is so, I guess, objectified and very othered in the movie as it goes on. I mean, you made the note of, I've seen this movie before when she walks into the elevator of like 15 dudes.
Oh, God.
15 just jacked FBI agents. But yeah, that was my thing going into this.
Yeah, I don't know where I'd really take the themes and like the commentary of the movie. Because you could take that it's like a comment on like transgenderism a little bit. But that's a little, I don't know.
It feels so surface level.
Yeah, it feels very surface level. And I don't think the movie really means to comment on it that much. It's more convenient for the movie.
Yeah.
Because this is at a time where it was a lot more stigmatized than it is now. And so I think it was more just kind of like an easy thing that they could relate to like some kind of serial killer. Was this based on a book or?
Yeah. It was based on a book by Thomas Harris. This is the second book in the Hannibal Lecter franchise. First one was Red Dragon, which actually is the sequel to this, but don't worry about it. But yeah, it's based on a book, and it's more or less faithful. The book's pretty disturbing. It's in the disturbing book category. Like, I've read it before, and it gets kind of fucked up.
It probably gets like a little too descriptive, I'm assuming.
Just a tad.
Yeah,
just a tad.
Yeah, that's usually how those things go. But I think that's kind of like a surface level like thing, and it's probably not very deep with the movie, and especially problematic now, obviously.
I mean, the director Jonathan Demi, he made a point because people ask him about this all the time. He's like, why'd you make the villain of your movie somebody who is trans and blah blah blah? And he said, they're not trans.
That's true. That is a point that's made in the movie itself.
Yes. He's like, he is a guy who hates himself and he wants to become a woman because that's the furthest thing of himself he can be. He's like, his sexuality's never really stated like up front. He's never really shown to be of a community. I mean, we see him like he has a swastika bed.
I'd argue that's probably like not like a Nazi swastika because it's not red or black. It's like orange. It'd be like the old Buddhist symbol.
But swastikas be swastikas, Randy.
Yeah, true. But
that guy's from like Tennessee. That's a swastika.
Well, I don't know. Has anybody asked the prop master or the director why the guy's got swastikas on his bed?
I think there was actually an article going in depth about it, but they couldn't get a hold of
like anybody.
But they went like deep dive. We were like, is he a self-hating white supremacist, and he's trying to make himself a woman to rebel against it? It got really weird. It was a weird article, but I've only ever seen it mentioned once.
Hold up, though. I don't think that theory follows through, and this is why. If he was a self-hating white supremacist, wouldn't he be trying to make a skin suit out of not white people? Alright, that is totally...
This is getting
way
weird.
Off the deep end.
I mean...
But, like, what other themes, like, commentaries can we draw on?
I mean, a lot of it just comes, at least for me, other than, like, the whole transsexualism and LGBTQ, what have you, a lot of it is just, you know, Clarice Starling and Hannibal Lecter's their relationship. It's almost like this strange, toxic romance going on, because he wants things from her, and he's giving her a little bit of, like, affection right through the information, and at the end of the movie, when they're on the phone, she's, you know, just calling Dr. Lecter, Dr. Lecter, Dr. Lecter. And it feels a lot more like Clarice is completely attached to this figure who she consistently seeks approval from.
Yeah.
And it feel like the movie is kind of commentating on toxic relationships in that sense.
Well, it could also be commentating on the loss of a father figure.
Yeah.
Because she's seeking for this father figure out of either, I don't remember what the, Crawford, played by Scott Glenn, either through Crawford or through Lecter.
And, I mean, that's pretty valid, because they make note, father died, she gets sent off to the ranch, she runs away, and it does feel like there's two conflicting male figures in her life, that of Dr. Lecter and Jack Crawford, and it's like the straight and narrow path is Crawford, even though he's more manipulative up front of Starling.
Well, not up front. I think Lecter is more up front in his manipulation. He tells her how he's going to manipulate her and then does it. While Crawford, it's always like he manipulates her and then he tells her that he did it.
It's a trick, yeah.
Yeah.
The relationship of it being really weird and kind of fucked up is pretty open from the start with Lecter. Also, I want to make a note of this, with everything being so up front, is this movie is a genius script. Because did you notice that Hannibal Lecter told Clarice exactly where Buffalo Bill was in his first few lines in the movie?
What did he say?
She's like, "Oh, that's a nice drawing. Oh, yes, it's Florence from the top of the Belvedere." Where's Buffalo Bill at the end of the movie? Belvedere, Ohio. And I was like, okay, you got points there. You got points there. Foreshadowing is strong, and it's fucking hella subtle.
Nah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. I thought the characters were written very, very well.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about Lecter.
Real quick, though. There's something I gotta get off my chest. Why the fuck does Jodie Foster sound like that?
That kind of like West Virginia deep Southern drawl.
Yeah, like, can she please not sound like that?
I don't want to be rude. I think that's just what she actually sounds like.
She better not actually sound like that. I'd be so mad. I'll be so mad, dude. Like, if that shit isn't fake, I'm gonna be pissed.
Look, I'm not 100% sure, because I don't really know much
about Jodie Foster.
I know she's, a fantastic actress, and she's been in a bunch of shit, but I don't know if that's like her legit accent. I don't know where she's from, to be honest.
Well, it says born in California and she went to Yale, so I'm assuming she does not have a fucking West Virginian accent.
All right. Is that one just a little too cartoony for you?
I couldn't deal with it. Like, every time
was this like the Forrest Gump voice for you?
Alma, not as bad. It wasn't as bad. Like, at some points, like, it just smoothed over and it sounded fine, but other times, like, it was like played up a little bit.
She was real hitting that West Virginia draw. Also, Hannibal Lecter makes a note of, "You're over there trying to hide that West Virginia. That's pure white trash." I'm like, she's not trying to hide it.
She's not trying.
She is loud and proud. She's probably got stars and bars on her fucking 57 Chevy.
Lord. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just, why? Did that need to be a thing?
I mean, it's part of the story.
Yeah, but it could have been anywhere. Like, she could have been born anywhere and had some kind of accent and he could have referred to it, you know? Like, she could have had a fucking Brooklyn accent, you know? But, like...
I don't think it works if it's a Brooklyn accent. Also, I think it's noted in the novel, and it is an adaptation. So, I mean, I guess it is a thing that's awkward,
not had it, right? Like, they could have just had her just talk, you know? I don't know. It just seems like the accent was rushed.
Maybe, but... One accent that was not rushed is Sir Anthony Hopkins. At the time of the filming of this movie, was just Anthony Hopkins, and he's like a British actor from Wales or something, and he's trying is this an American accent? What accent is he going for? Because it is too rich to be American.
Oh no, this is not what we would call an accent. This is an idiolect. It is the way he talks.
Ah.
It is a personalized accent. That is specifically how that man talks. It's like how nobody talks, like how Audrey Hepburn talks. Like, yeah. She has her own...
That is just how she talks.
That is how she talks. Like, nobody naturally talks the way that she talks. And that's Anthony Hopkins. That's Dr. Lecter in this movie. Like,
because not everything about him is so off-putting.
It's so good. He deserved this Oscar.
Yes, he never blinks. He just stares straight down the barrel of the camera, and he just talks like this, Clarice.
And the way his character's written, shit, like the dialogue that for Lecter is just like 11 out of 10. Amazing dialogue.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah. And he's performing it like a fucking master, which is crazy because this was the first time like Americans realized like Anthony Hopkins, A-list actor, what ho? Because the biggest thing he was in for American audiences before this, I think, was The Elephant Man. And that was like a prestige drama. It wasn't like this, like the big blockbuster, you know, the summer here. But man, he is so good in this movie.
I mean, props to whoever wrote up the dialogue for this movie, because it is A+ the whole way through. This movie has the best dialogue out of any movie we've seen so far.
Oh, really?
Any movie I've even seen, yeah, probably. I would say this is like purely on dialogue alone. This is probably number one. Like,
oh wow,
pure, like, it's so good. I don't think there's anything wasted, really. Like, also a lot of the dialogue is very meaty. Like, there's a lot of meaning and double meanings and, like, stuff to, like, you could analyze it. Like, you know,
everything Dr. Lecter says has, like, a quadruple meaning that will reveal the mystery to you if you overanalyze it like crazy.
Yeah, and it's, like, the acting out of Jodie Foster for, like, when she's talking to Lecter and the way she delivers her lines and what she's saying is all so good, so perfect.
And it's crazy because Hannibal Lecter or Anthony Hopkins in the movie for like 20 minutes. 20 minutes out of the entire film.
Yeah, probably a little longer than that.
No, people do the math, and it's like about 20 minutes of on-screen time.
Which, I guess if you only count on-screen time and not like screen time devoted to him, you know, which is like, I would qualify it like, you know, when we're in like the building where like he's like killed a bunch of people. Like, this is screen time about Anthony Hopkins. You know, like, this is screen time about Dr. Lecter. Sure, he's not on screen, but it's about him.
You're like that. This is his moment.
Also, real quick though, I instantly knew that he was the officer,
the guy on the floor.
I instantly knew it. I'm like, that's him.
Yeah, Randy's like, if I was in this position, that would be me too. Randy revealing his inner madman. Dude, he quoted Marcus Aurelius. You love quoting Marcus Aurelius.
That was fucking rad. I thought that was cool. I was like, whoa, look at this guy. Flexing. Whoever wrote this dialogue was flexing their little measly philosophical muscles right there. They're like, ooh, well, look at me. I read a bestseller.
What's up? Get fucked. Dude, that's like... And well, okay. Here's one last thing about like the dialogue that I think you're gonna like really dig, because this is one of those like quadruple double meanings that only makes sense if you're an autist. So when he tells Clarice, you know, a censor came to review me and I ate his liver with a side of fava beans, right? Mm-hmm. And people are like, oh, that's just like an intimidating line, you know, he's the cannibal or whatever. Now, a Chianti and a fava beans, like that mixture has a very unique like chemical like balance thing for your diet
Mm-hmm.
that goes against antipsychotic medication. So in that line, he's telling Clarice that don't fuck with me, I'm off my meds. That makes him even more levels of intimidating.
Bruh.
Yeah. And I know that was an intentional dialogue choice because in the book, it's a different line. So it was changed intentionally for the film. Which, fuck yeah, this movie...
Wow.
This movie on levels, dog.
Who wrote this?
Who wrote this masterpiece?
Holy shit, yeah.
So, Thomas Harris, he wrote the book. Ted Kelly wrote the screenplay.
So, probably Ted Talley. Yo, Ted, this man. Good lord, that is some strong dialogue came out of this man.
Yeah. I mean, again, like, we can gush about the dialogue. We can gush about the acting. And another thing I want to gush about is Jonathan Demme's direction. Because he's making these choices where every time we're with Clarice, we're seeing, like, a lot of POV. A lot of things through her eyes. Yes. And it really puts us in how weird and awkward all these situations are. Like when she goes into the mortuary to see the body and she walks in and, you know, Crawford takes the sheriff away, doesn't want to talk about the weird sex crime in front of the lady, and she's around all the police officers and we're in her POV going shot. Around and it's like, it's so awkward. All these guys just staring at you. And that's the thing. It's like they're staring at you. So it puts you in the same place as Sterling and it's very just, it's so good at meaty and shit. Love that shit. Also, Roger Corman cameos. Fuck yeah.
Roger Corman cameo?
Yeah, he was the head of the FBI.
Oh, was he really?
That was Roger Corman. And also, mark another one up, Jonathan Demme from the Roger Corman School. That man is monopolizing this list.
Yeah, Roger Corman. But something I want to kind of get into kind of early here is that the use of the night vision in this movie. How'd you feel about it?
Okay, because when I saw this movie originally, I was like, night vision is magic. Now, being somebody who has played Modern Warfare 2 for more hours than I've probably loved my own children, is that night vision does not work like this. This is kind of weird.
In the first...
Or it looks a little cheesy.
Well, night vision looks like that. You know, or night vision works like that. You know, let's put it that way. You know, it does work as described in this movie. It's just, do you think that it was used well?
I think so. Because it distinguishes Buffalo Bill as having a warped POV, a warped perspective.
I see.
He's you know, he's this thing in the night. You know, he's this predator, and it being in this green haze that's, you know, he sees everything clearly, but it's through this warped perspective. I think that goes well both the character and also making a lot of, like, making the scenes where it's in very unsettling, even though it might look a little goofy.
You think it looks goofy? I think it doesn't.
Maybe a hair.
It doesn't look goofy the first time they use it, but only at the end of the movie, I think it's hella goofy.
That's the point. That's the
thing. Can we just talk about the end of the movie? I think it's going to be like the part that's going to be the most controversial of the whole thing.
I think the ending of the movie's good.
Do you like that the Buffalo Bill following her around in night vision?
Kind of, yeah. I think
you like that?
I think it's super unsettling and super creepy.
I think it's dumb as hell.
You think because in the logical sense he should just kill the bitch and be over with it?
No. In the logical sense, she would know he's there. Like there's no way somebody can stand that close to you and not know that they're there.
I mean, in the pitch blackness.
But I think that night vision doesn't work in complete pitch black. There needs to be some light somewhere.
And that's what I was saying about the whole, you know, just like, but night vision isn't magic. It doesn't work like that.
But it's just like if we were in complete pitch blackness and we were like walking around each other, like maybe like, all right, she's like freaking it the fuck out or whatever and just doesn't notice, right? Because she's losing it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just like, man, you would fucking know. Like,
I like how that's Randy's thing, being like, that don't look right.
Yeah, it's like, I think you would know that, like, he's like fucking right on top of her at times.
Yeah. But it looks really cool, and it's really well shot.
I mean, I don't think it looks that cool just because it looks kind of dumb, but it's well shot, And I'm sure, like, you know, I was more reserved. I wasn't really, like, freaking out near the end of the movie, being like, oh my god, like...
Oh, no, I wasn't freaking out either, but it
But
was
it's just,
very
like, so
engaging.
I didn't get that whole feeling of, like, the suspense of it. I was just kind of like, meh, you know, like, yeah.
You gave into, like, this is the story, and, okay, this is an interesting thing happening.
But I wasn't, like, really that engaged in, like, oh my god, Jodie, no, he's right behind you, you know? So it kind of, like, I didn't really feel anything about it.
Fell flat for you?
Yeah, it fell flat for me. I was like, you know, it was a good try, but, like, it was way better used in the earlier parts of the movie.
Okay, so what were your standout moment for the movie? If the ending, I guess the climax, really, is kind of, like, falls flat for me?
Well, not, like, well, I guess it is, like, the climax and she finally shoots the guy at the end, right?
Yeah.
But only the night vision part of the ending fell flat. The rest of it was great.
Where he's like, oh, was she a great big fat person? Oh, let me go get the card. And it's that whole thing where she's, like, sees the moth. She's figuring it out. Mm-hmm. Cocks the fucking gun like a champ. That shit was good. Also, the whole build-up to that, where he's down in the basement, you know, girl's got Precious, and he hears the bell ringing, and here's the bell ring.
Yes. Very well done. Very well done.
That was good. Great misdirection. Mm-hmm. But what's your standout moment?
The standout...
Is it every scene with Hannibal Lecter?
Yeah. He's just so good. Like, the man, if he was in the movie for 20 minutes, like, he still deserved the Oscar.
Stole the fucking show. I mean, it did steal the fucking show, right?
Stole it hard.
I mean, this is the reason, like, Anthony Hopkins became, like, a household name, right? Like...
I would say so. Like, I've seen so many clips of this movie, and the one I've seen the most is fucking him saying, you know, some Chianti and fava beans.
I love the improv hiss thing at the end.
So good.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of, like, improvisation from Anthony Hopkins in this. The whole thing about, like, making fun of Clarice Starling's, like, accent or whatever. Uh-huh. Hannibal Lecter, like, improv'd that.
Or you mean Anthony Hopkins?
Or, sorry, Anthony Hopkins improv'd that. See, I'm doing the thing. And Jodie Foster felt like really insulted because she thought it was Anthony Hopkins just talking shit on her accent. And he was like, no, it's like character shit.
She's like, oh, okay.
Yes, apparently that's how that conversation literally went. Jodie Foster was really offended.
She's like, I've been working really hard on that. Gosh darn.
Do you just not like Jodie? Not even a little bit?
Well, I liked her acting a lot in this movie.
She's really good.
But, man, like, she could have been so much better. She didn't have to worry about that accent.
It adds to the character, though. I think it
adds
does.
A little bit to the character, but I think it takes away from the performance.
I think it's a thing where I just didn't find it nearly as distracting as you did.
Alright, here's the thing. I didn't find it distracting the whole time. It was just a couple of times. But it needs to be said because there's not really much else for me to grate on in terms of the acting or dialogue or performances, really. Like,
that's the thing with this movie is it
would have been perfect without it.
Randy's over here being like, no, it is technically perfect.
But no, nothing's ever perfect, you know.
You're damn fucking close.
Damn fucking close.
I mean, I guess that's the thing, because if people wanted us to just say, is this movie, you know, fantastic and perfect, then yeah, it's fucking tastic.
It's good.
But is there any, like, legitimate critique of the film? Like, is there stories, things that rub the wrong way? Is there plotting things that rub the wrong way? Characterizations? Anything that rubs the wrong way?
I think Hannibal Lecter's too much of, like, a Mary Sue. A little bit.
Too much of a Mary Sue? The man who eats people? Or he's just too perfect?
He's too perfect in what he's doing, yeah. Like, he's too perfect. Like, he's not good like a Mary Sue would be.
Yeah.
He's not a goody two-shoes, but, like, you know, he just, like, kills 2 cops, like, escapes, like, being surrounded by, like, you know, 15 blocks of surveillance.
Is also able to finish his concerto on his record player.
Yeah, in the meantime, you know, like, like, what are these cops, like, new fucking, aren't they like a lieutenant, like a sergeant or something? Like,
yeah. And the sergeant takes his eyes off the fucking guy that eats people.
Yeah, like, bruh.
I mean, it is a thing where it does come off that Hannibal Lecter he's not a man, he's a supervillain.
Yeah.
With, like, superpowers. I feel like Hannibal Lecter could exist in the same world as Batman, and it would kind of work.
Also, something that happened that, like, you know, kind of like throws me through, like, kind of suspension of disbelief a little bit, is that when he's pretending to be the officer on the floor, like, he's just wearing, like, a skin mask, right?
Yeah, like, skin the guy's face off, right?
Like, nobody, like, touched him, like, at all to, like, see that, like, oh, there's, like, a fucking thing on this guy. Like, they didn't, like, inspect the wounds and see, like, there's something wrong here.
I mean...
Or was it just kind of a panic thing?
I would assume it's a panic thing, because think about it, you know, you have this, like, guy... Supervillain has escaped. Lex Luthor, or the Joker, has escaped from the asylum, right?
Yes.
And you got a dead officer that has been hung up like the fucking... Like Christ on the lamb
also,
over here.
How did he fucking get him up there? Like, that...
Just raw strength.
Yeah,
like,
dude, okay.
Hannibal Lecter is jacked
like,
as fuck.
Hannibal Lecter really gets that strong off of fucking calisthenics in his fucking cell, dude.
Dude,
like, is this guy doing fucking 2-finger push-ups or some shit?
Look, that is the real plot hole in this movie is... Okay, so how did Hannibal Lecter hoist up like a 240-pound cop, we'll say? Because he was a big boy.
Yeah.
He's not a small lad. Hoist him up like 10 feet in the air and tie his ass up and gut him like a fish. I'm assuming what we don't see on screen is Hannibal Lecter just pumping push-ups. Like, he's one of these guys who's like, yo, I'm in this cell. Look, I'm rise and grind, son. Wakes up, 100 push-ups every day. 100 push-ups before, after lunch, 100 push-ups before
bed. He does
100
push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and runs 10 kilometers.
In his cell, so he's just running back and forth.
Just this guy fucking Saitama from One Punch Man.
Dude, basically, he's that levels of, like, can do anything.
What the fuck?
Ugh.
Like, also, how long were those two officers gone? Like, 2 fucking hours? Like...
I mean, that sequence is... Because there's points in the movie where you do notice that there's, like, a missing frame or a missing cut.
Mm-hmm.
Where Lecter goes from being completely on the ground and kicking the door to hit the sergeant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the literal next cut is him now fully standing up and coming at the camera to bite off the cop's face.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, we don't see him, like...
Like, he doesn't round
the door, he doesn't get up, he just, like, appears, which...
Yeah.
Again, is unsettling because it makes him feel like more than human.
Supernatural.
Like supernatural in a sense. And it's unsettling, but it does feel like... Okay, now this movie is too good for that not to be intentional,
mm-hmm.
but in a lesser movie, it would be shoddy craftsmanship. Yeah. But this movie is not shoddy. So it's weird. It's weird.
I also feel like some part... one of the parts of the movie doesn't get, like, enough... like screen time, like I'd like to see it explored more, is that like storage unit that Clarice finds.
Oh yeah, where it's like the first step in
mm-hmm.
the chain of events that leads to Buffalo Bill. And it's not really
like there's like a ton of shit there, and
it is
like
a full storage unit.
The only thing they find is like the head in the jar, and that's it. And I'm like, that shit is packed to the brim. Like, that's the only thing you find. Like, it's kind of weird. And it's one of those things where, like, I expected it to, like, come back. Like, later on for that to circle around and be, like, the storage unit from before. But, like, it doesn't happen. You know, I was kind of a little disappointed. I was like, that set looked like it took a lot of time to set up. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The production designer was probably like, I spent
also
4 days making this.
The set design of the house at the end of the movie... It's fucking incredible.
Oh, are you talking about the basement or the actual house?
The basement.
The basement.
With all the rooms and shit.
The basement is the definition of serial killer dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
Every serial killer dungeon to come before this only led up to this moment, and every one after has been a reflection on this serial killer dungeon. Because, what is it? You remember that video game SWAT 4?
Yeah.
And like one of the missions is, you go underneath the house to save the serial killer victim or whatever,
mm-hmm.
right? And I'm like, thinking back on it, I'm like, they just stole the floor plan from Silence of the Lambs.
Of course they did.
Of course they did.
Who wouldn't?
But, okay, this is like just a weird fun fact I found out, because the basement is like a whole like soundstage set, right?
Yeah.
But the house above it, the actor who played Buffalo Bill, Ted Levine?
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably fucking up his name. Yeah, Ted Levine. That house was the principal's house from his high school.
Oh, really?
His girlfriend lived next door.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was like, this is super weird that we found... Yeah, but that is apparently... he knew the place when they showed up to film that day.
He was like, I've been here before.
And they were like, oh, he's just getting into meth. And he's like, no, dude. Like,
no.
I made out with my girlfriend around the back of this fucking house before. He's like, what?
That's like strange as hell, honestly.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird, like, strange little coinky-dinky things in this movie. But that one was the most strangest and the most coinky-dinky of them all.
Also, another thing that makes Hannibal Lecter look like an evil supervillain is that the scene where they meet up at the airport to talk to the senator.
And he has the iconic face mask, right?
The iconic face mask. But just the fact that this man is so powerful that even when he's, locked up in this, like, straight jacket on a trolley with the face mask thing, he still gets flown around on first class.
Oh, yeah. Probably also listened to classical music on the way. No, he watched a Bergman film on the flight.
No, he watched a Corman film, obviously.
Of course. The subtle hints.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this movie's good.
It's really good. I'm quite surprised at how good it is. Maybe I'm just in like a good mood from like the last couple of movies we saw this weekend.
Yeah. We did see some pretty good movies over the weekend. And also this movie is like, this I can definitely see why this is AFI 100 material.
Yeah.
Like great craftsmanship, created iconic characters. Probably one of, if not the most iconic movie villain.
Yeah,
of all time. Yeah. And it's like such a tight script, and like you can read the filmmaking here.
He's not technically the main villain, but he is.
He is the villain.
But Buffalo Bill's a villain.
Yeah,
Buffalo Bill's like kind of like side character, like honestly.
It's so true. Like the main villain you're trying to track down is not the main villain of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is there another big point you wanna jump onto?
Another big point I would like to jump on. Well, okay. So, what's gonna bring the movie down? Like, what's gonna take this movie and take it down a notch?
Why is this movie currently relegated to like the 70s?
Yeah, what did somebody look at this movie and say, nah, not that good?
It might be the stigmatizing of like horror films or thriller films in that regard, because like let's be honest, horror films do not get a lot of cred, or genre films in general don't get a lot of cred.
Well, okay, here's something I want to kind of go on from like a jumping point off from that. So horror films don't get a lot of cred, right?
No.
Lack of innovation. You get a lot of cred from innovation. This movie doesn't seem that innovative.
It's
like the basic thing of it is, and like this movie was made in the 90s, right?
Yeah, I believe 91 or 92.
So
yeah, 1991.
By this point, we're getting like some like the true crime genre has like appeared, right?
Yeah.
And we're getting more of these like hunting down the what's it called, like
the killer,
hunting down the killer, like type of like movies and TV shows and stuff like that. Like we're starting to get the stuff that's things like Criminal Minds will spring out of, and like all the Law and Orders.
Yeah, which do come later.
They do come later, but we've already planted the seeds.
The nuggets of those true crime serial killer track down things come up. I mean, this movie is, I could argue, is an inspiration for things like Seven, Zodiac,
yes.
Any movie where you're hunting down a mastermind killer or serial killer.
So I don't
what
think
have
this movie created anything new. It just did something very well.
It's the best of its genre.
It's the best of what of what is there for it to work with, and it was somewhat early in that genre.
I would argue it has some innovative moments. I mean, do you know of any I guess female lead characters as engaging and as fleshed out as Clarice Starling?
Sophie.
The Sophie from Sophie's Choice. I see.
Yeah,
Hey. Meryl. It's hard to compete with Meryl
It's hard to
Streep.
compete with fucking Meryl Streep.
Yeah, that woman has enough Oscars she can build a boat.
And she did her accent well, I might add.
Yes, fuck you, we get it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, I think it's just so interesting to see a movie like this done so well with a leading lady who is incredibly engaging, because I feel that's still not even a norm today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we have these, big films that are big hits, critically successful, that have female leading ladies or female lead characters.
Usually, well, alright, honestly, usually they have female lead characters, but they're not that well written of characters, let's be real.
That has been a sin of many of a Michael Bay film, yes.
Sin of many of a movie. But, I mean, she's a really good character in this movie. She's strong at points and weak in others, but it makes for a full character.
Yeah. And it never feels like she's playing into the feminine tropes.
She's not a damsel in distress.
No.
She takes down Buffalo Bill herself.
She does. She's sparring 1-for-1 with Hannibal Lecter, and the movie makes a point that people around her are constantly underestimating her and constantly making a note that, oh, she's a woman in a man's world kind of thing. And a woman in a man's profession, too.
Mm-hmm. Because
every other cop we see or law enforcement agent, except for one person, is a dude.
Yeah.
All of them. And it's so weird. And it really does feel like that's a huge facet of the movie that makes the movie kind of unique.
And another thing, though, is that they don't, de-feminize her. They don't make her a man.
No, because I've heard that be a critique that a lot of people have is, well, if you have trouble writing female characters, just write a male character and change the name. And I'm like, that is so wrong. Like characterization of feminine qualities in just people, they're things that you can really utilize to make a full-fledged interesting character without de-gendering them or desexualizing them. It's a woman is a woman, and a good female character is a good female character. Just because you make Jason Statham safe movie or whatever the fuck, if you make it into Charlize Theron, it's not going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just it's good that they're able to make this character so three-dimensional. It works, or even four-dimensional.
Quad dimensions.
Four-dimensional character, but she does it all. Her character is able to be strong and not there's the scene where she cries at her car, right?
And she holds that emotion in until she gets in the car. She doesn't want to show weakness.
To the car. She doesn't even get in the car. She's standing next to her car crying.
I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm a grown ass man, and if multiple MIGs shot his load, I don't know if I could maintain all the way to the car.
Also, that shit was, I wasn't expecting that shit at all.
You weren't expecting that shit?
Bro, she got cummed on in this movie.
Also, Miggs, for being a crazy bastard, aim pretty solid.
Well, he probably just did it in his hand and then threw it.
Randy, I don't know the viscosity of jizz, but
he's probably got a lot of zinc.
Probably. Ladies and gentlemen, we're sponsored by cumpills.rs.
Oh, no.
No, we're not that well known yet to get Cumpill sponsors. Yeah. We're not that famous yet.
Oh, goodness gracious.
But
I wasn't expecting that shit at all. What is this, fucking X-rated? Hello, NC-17, where are you?
I mean, but then again, that is a scene that is super, uncomfortable and is super, oh, fuck, yeah, this is really fucked up for her. For her.
Yeah.
As a woman in this moment is, an incredibly unnerving thing, and then we're in her POV, and then we're still in her mind, so it makes it so, I feel uncomfortable throughout the movie. Every time one of the guys looks at her, in the camera, I feel, uncomfortable. I'm like, this movie is a masterpiece of filmmaking. But where does it go on the list, sir? Because we have to hit that segue.
We gotta hit that segue at some point. You don't think there's anything else that brings it down? Anything like... Yeah, I mean... I want to say, like, the simplicity of, like, the story structure.
Yeah, but I mean, a 3-act structure is a 3-act structure, and it has been used in cinema for a generation. I'm not saying at
that basic of a level as 3 acts, but, like, the story structure of, like, you know, just finding the bad guy.
It's done incredibly well. I think the thing that could really bring it down is, like, there are plot holes in the movie. Like, when did Lecter get free to grab the pen that he uses to escape? Because the Dr. Children leaves it on the bed, right? But he was straitjacked the whole fucking time. How did he get out and get it?
They said, or I think what's supposed to be, is that the doctor says, oh, clean him up, get him ready for transport. So to clean him up, they have to take him out of the thing.
And he just managed to palm it?
That's gotta be it, right? Like, that's the only explanation I can find.
And that's the thing. And also, how did you know, this 50-year-old man be able to hoist up a full-grown police officer, you know, and also throw another one down an elevator shaft, and, you know, the whole dressing thing, and there are minor plot details that are glossed over, we'll say, and that might be, like, a minor issue, but it's a minor issue in a film where you don't think about it until you are forced to think about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's placing here at number, I believe this is number 75, 74? 74. I feel that's pretty strong. I feel like this could go up. I mean, with, like, if we finally got away from saying horror movies or genre films are a lower form of cinema, I think this movie can go up.
Exorcist not on this list? Exorcist isn't on this list?
No, it is not. People are very confused as to why it's not on this list.
It's an American movie, correct?
Damn right it is. I mean, the other horror movie on this list that I know is on here, off the top of my head, is, like, Psycho. That's on here. That's a horror movie. And
the OG.
The OG slasher. And then, like, you can kind of quantify a Clockwork Orange, but that's more like a sci-fi dystopia film than, like, a horror film.
Like a straight up
horror film. That's kind of the thing. There's just not, you know, like, because the other ones you can qualify as horror are, like, Rear Window and things like that, where they're more like thrillers.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
This one is still more of a thriller than a horror film.
It's still more of a thriller than a horror movie. Like, it's not that scary at any real part, other than, like, the very end where she's, like, in the house and she doesn't know where he is.
I feel it's very unsettling.
Sure, it's unsettling, but, like, lots of movies can be, like, unsettling and not be horror movies.
I don't know. Also, I am dumb. I forgot. Jaws is also on this list.
Oh, Jaws, of course.
Yes, of course.
I don't think Jaws is that scary either.
Oh, like, fuck you!
How's Jaws a fucking horror movie? Like, maybe
it's a monster movie.
Maybe I will reconsider Jaws a horror movie when I watch it again, because I haven't seen that in God knows how long.
Yes, I believe Clinton was in the White House last time you saw that movie.
God, wait, I wasn't. I don't think I was cognizant when Clinton was in the White House.
That's how long it's been since you've seen Jaws. But yeah, like, Silence of the Lamb, I think being here is really strong. I think it can go up. I think it can. There's nothing wrong with the movie.
Yeah, there's nothing. I feel like there's something we're glossing over. There's gotta be fucking something.
It's one of these movies where you're so hesitant. You're like, it's great, but it's not excellent.
Yeah, there's something about it. Like, is that what am I tasting there? You know, it's like I can't pin down that spice. I know it.
It's always nutmeg.
It's not. Is it nutmeg? What is bringing down this movie? Like, why am I so?
Why are you so resistant?
Because, like, Sunrise, I was like out of the gate, like, oh my god, like, it's so good,
yeah,
definitely the best,
absolutely,
like,
not even close.
But, like, I wouldn't rate this, but, like, it. I think it's a lacking of, like, artistic vision. You know, like, I don't think, like, anybody was really trying to, like, really do anything new and grand. They were just trying to make a good movie, you know, which is like admirable in its own sense, but I don't think there's like that.
You wanted that auteurist vision.
Well, I'm just saying that like maybe the movie needs that to for that next level, you know.
I feel it's there. I really feel it's there because there's so many movies that I don't see that are like this. Like how it's shot and how it uses the camera as a way to just hone in on the audience and place them in like this. I don't feel there's enough movies even now that are utilizing it nearly as well.
I don't know, maybe I'll have to mull it over, but right now I'm feeling like, yeah, it's good, could maybe go up, but I'm not.
You're so hesitant because you feel like you're going to get burned on a rewatch.
Yeah, exactly. I'm feeling pretty conservative about this one. It is good, really good even, would recommend, but I don't know, there's something about it. I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No, like...
You like it, but you're like, I'm not sure about that, boy.
Well, there's something about it. I don't like it. There's something about it.
You're like...
Overall, I think it's great. It's good. I like the movie a lot. But it's just like, there's something about it's off. Something about it.
Okay. But you would agree, does not go off the list?
Doesn't go off the list. Doesn't go down. Well, it could go off the list, but only if it was replaced by The Exorcist upon me rewatching The Exorcist and then weighing the two movies against each other.
Of course. Because you have the proper and correct opinion about everything.
Yes. I have, I sleep well at night knowing that I have objectively correct opinions about everything and better hair than everybody else.
God damn it. But, I guess, like, that comes around to this end. Recommendation? Absolutely.
Yeah, as long as you're not squeamish, like, yeah, go for it.
Two big thumbs up for me.
2 thumbs up.
But with that, next week, it's another Western. Actually, it's the film that the Wild Bunch was responding to, and that's Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I'm excited. It's got Robert Redford, Paul Newman. It's a Western shoot-'em-up action film.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm like, holy shit, Butch Cassidy's going to be shorter than Silence of the Lambs.
By 8 minutes. Which, kind of impressed.
Kind of a short Western.
Really?
Aren't Westerns supposed to be pretty long?
Not all of them. I mean, some clock in at about, 90 minutes, 2 hours. I mean, granted, I watched Good and the Bad and the Ugly the other day, and that's a 3-hour movie.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's Italian. This is American.
Oh, okay, sure.
Come on. The Italians like to drone on with some opera shit in the background. Americans like to shoot things.
Ah, I see.
Yes.
See. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I'm hoping that we get a Western that I can really groove on, really get into, because there's some things that I had held up during the Wild Bunch.
Yeah. And Westerns are such a quintessential American genre that I'm like,
there's gotta be a gold mine in here somewhere. There's gotta be a real nugget.
You're just waiting for the Western to just click with you.
Yeah.
Because it feels like there's a Western for every dude that just clicks. Because I feel like every dude has a favorite Western.
Yeah.
That's just a thing, right?
There's gotta be.
But if you wanted to keep up with that, everybody, you can come check us out on our newly branded YouTube channel. That's right, we fixed the thing, so we're no longer in the frame. We are the Film Vault.
Whoa, Film Vault.
The Film Vault. So you can find all your film and film podcast stuff there. So come check that out. You can subscribe, comment, do whatever you want. Yeah. You can also find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere you get podcasts. But Randy, any last words?
No. I'm not going to quote the movie at the end of this time. Psychological thrillers. Paprika or Silence of the Lambs?
Silence of the Lambs. It's got more Anthony Hopkins in it.
I like Paprika.
Paprika's really good.
I think I'd choose Paprika.
We'll see you next week, everybody.